Hi guys, welcome to Snowfell Cinema, where we only show the most premium of tarot card readings. Um, Before we get into our program today, I'm going to give you a little bit of a sprucing up, okay? I'm just gonna cleanse your energy a little bit. Ooh, that lighting change was unexpected, but kind of greatly appreciated. Hold on. Gonna make that a more of a permanent thing. I think that's nice. Okay, so I'm just going to brush off your aura a little bit. All right. Can you turn your head to the right or left or whichever direction you want? Yeah, that's perfect. All right, the other side. All right, turn around for me. Very good. Just going to back of your neck. You'd be surprised how much energy hangs around the back of the neck. Not a lot of people know that. Shoulders, gotta dust those shoulders off. Feeling like a pimp. Can you say that on YouTube? I don't know. If I get flagged, I'll find out. All right, turn back around for me. Okay, I'm just gonna get your stomach, that little center area there. A little bit more around the heart. That's nice. That did something really nice. Yeah, very nice. All right, I think you're ready. All dressed up and ready to go. Ready for a show. Yeah, very nice. Just gonna put that here as you hold on to that. If you feel the need to, at any moment during the reading, you feel like you need to shake off some energy, just, you know, especially around the face, the third eye there, especially when you're getting new information, the third eye and the ears. That's good. Let me do your ears real quick. Yeah, this one's a little bit. Are you hard of hearing on this side? Because this one has a lot of energy in it. This one didn't. Let me check. This one didn't have. No, this one didn't have that much. Yeah, that's good. All right, I think you guys are ready. Feeling good? Feeling calm? Yeah? All right, perfect. Yeah, I'm just gonna place this with you. At any moment, use it how you feel. Yeah, especially if you get confused, stressed, or pressed, just kind of dust it off. All right. We're gonna get into our movie script, and I'll read that off for you. See what we got there. Today's update. It was very hot today. It was smoking. You know. I kind of can't wait for summertime. I like the heat. I do. And I like the cold too. I like the extreme weathers. Spring and fall is nice, but sometimes it can be like, if it's not, my springs I like for like a warm day and a cool night, and for the fall I like a cool day and a warm night. So it doesn't always happen like that. So sometimes summer and winter time can be a little bit, you can prepare a little bit better for those seasons. I do think fall is probably the best when it comes to, well, I feel like a cool day is really good for fashion because you can layer and stuff. If you're into layering, I'm a little bit of a minimalist. I think because of my physique, layering can be a little bit um, obscuring. So I tend to like now I'm kind of leaning into more like tighter tops and baggy bottoms. Just because I think it suits me better. And that type of style is, I guess fall would be a good one for that. Summer, depending on if how like breathable the top material is. Like I don't have a problem wearing pants all year long, but my shoulders get really hot, so I don't really like to have too much on there. And a lot of clothing relies on the shoulders to sit on. Unless you have like a strappy something. I do like my weather a little bit more for my apparel because it seems like the most interlocked aspect, because you have to go outside at some point, or you know the weather comes inside your house. You know, when it's hot you turn the air conditioning on, when it's cold you turn the heat on, or if you don't do any of those things then you experience the cold or the heat as it is. And so not only is it appropriate for, not only have to think about what's appropriate to wear inside, but you have to think about what's appropriate on the outside. And I think that's why, like, I do admire people who don't turn on the heat or air conditioning. Because it's really like, it's just very natural, I suppose. Like, you'll wear the same outfit inside as you would outside. Like if you're gonna wear like a bunch of like sweat clothes or something like that in the wintertime because it's cold outside, but it's also a little chilly in the house, you know? Although I think that maybe that's why I like the extreme seasons, because I like being hot and then going into a cool room, and I like being cold and going to a hot room. Like I like where I am, like that I can escape it, I suppose. One of the two. Any of those? But I mean, I think for winter you kind of have to keep like some type of heat source, because the cold will like zap. I feel like the cold, you know how like vampires are described as like cold because they're dead? I think they're also cold because they absorb, because they can't produce their own form of life. They have to take it from something, and the cold is just the absence of heat. So if you introduce something hot to a cold room, the cold room will absorb that heat. Just like if you put something cold in a hot room, the cold thing will absorb that heat and then will no longer be cold. I think I don't know. I love the reality of coldness as being an absence of something, and it really goes into my principle of like, if there's one thing, there's the opposite of it, only because if there's one thing, there's that thing not there, the absence of that thing. Like one thing existing also means the absence of that thing. Just like wet and dry is more of a spectrum and not really like a dry thing or a wet thing. A dry thing is just something that lacks water, and a wet thing is something that possesses water. Which really makes like air and water, as far as the Greek elements are concerned, they're a little bit more like opposites. They're a little bit more opposite than water and fire, or air and earth, it seems like to me. But I do think they follow like kind of a cyclical thing. Like air beats water because air absorbs water. Like dryness absorbs water. Like a dry sponge will take on like a puddle. So dryness, air, takes on water, wetness, moisture, and moisture beats, I think water beats earth, because just on a planet is just really consuming, like it'll just sink right to the bottom. Like water really like takes things, possesses things. As far as like the ocean goes, like the treasure trove kind of thing. Like anything you throw into the ocean keeps, which I think is kind of really romantic. Like if you want to give someone a gift and you know that it's like always kept with them, just give it to the ocean. And I think that earth beats fire. I think earth is described as coldness, just because of the existence of the universe. Like the moon is really cold just because it lives up there in space. You know, there's no heat source there. There's no natural heat source there. And I think our earth, you know, is benefited by the mantle, or the mantle and the core, because it produces some type of heat because of the motion or whatever. But naturally, like I would say fire and earth are separate things. So, and you know what? I think that it's very interesting. Yeah, our planet is a little, or not our planet, our universe is a little bit of like a vampire, I suppose, because it's trying to take the energy back. Like, just like like the sun or stars, eventually the sun or stars are consumed back by the void. The heat is absorbed by coldness, which I think is really interesting. And of course, fire is heat, and heat beats dryness because it catches a flame, you know? Yeah. And I like a cyclical thing that's very, Chinese zodiac, or feng shui. It's very feng shui. And I think that's a really good basis when you want to think about how things interact with other things. And I think it gives you a good basis on to start thinking about social things. One thing affects another thing. And I think in personality too. I think that you can have hot, dry, wet, and cold personality types. And that goes really into the humors. I don't know if you've heard about the humors before. But I really absorb that aspect of learning about them. It's like an old European. You are peeing. Are you peeing while you're watching this video? Nasty. No, just kidding. I don't mind. It's a European science theory. They treat it like a science. I'm gonna say it's a science. I think that's also funny. When we think about sciences, and I think people, when they think about sciences, it's a bit more about like what is reproducible. And I'm gonna, I agree. I'm not gonna say I disagree with that. But theory is also like, to hypothesize is important in a, let's do this. Yeah, that's cute. Theory and hypothesizing is really important when it comes to sciences. So when we talk about like pseudosciences, I guess that's what we would call it, they lean a little bit more into like theory, and I think that is like, use your discernment, whatever you want to do, but I think that there are some valid information, at least to conceptualize, in pseudosciences. Anywho, our genre of our movie today is going to be the Ace of Wands, which is going to be action packed. This could be, yeah, it could be exceptionally like that's a wide range. It is. This is a movie that'll have you on the edge of your seat, I guess. This could be something that's very violent or sexual or dynamic in some way. It could be a little bit crazy, a little bit like it could be motivating too. Yeah, I'm gonna say there's just a lot of energy in this. That was good. Um, see, our main character here is going to be the Seven of Pentacles. So, sevens are all about struggle, pentacles are all about the material and conscientiousness. So, this is going to be someone who is working hard. They work hard for the money, you know, so hard for it, honey. You know, this is a very hardworking individual. This could be someone who's working and like maybe not seeing like, you know, I feel like they're a bit more toiling than it is like working on something that is fulfilling or progressive. Like they're getting a little bit like, what am I doing this for? We also have the adolescent of pentacles above that. So this is someone who is like, maybe they're saying like they could do more. Maybe this is someone who's dreaming of a more exciting life. Or like they see more potential in themselves. Like this is someone who's like has energy and conscientiousness, and with all this work, it's a little bit like things could be better, maybe, or yeah, they're motivated in some way that is, especially with the Ace of Wands being our genre, is giving a little bit of, yeah, it's giving a little bit of we could be more productive. Like I'm kind of getting like this is someone who like lives in like a small town or village or something like that, and this is like almost like an inventor type. I would say like someone who is trying to better the lives. It's someone who introduces conveniences. I think that's very interesting. I have like a lot of opinions about the promotion of convenience. Um, I think that it can be a very slippery slope when it comes to like being lazy. I think the promotion of conveniences can absorb some of your autonomy. I think some people are exceptionally willing to give up their autonomy. And I think that has to do with like a lack of appreciation for living. But that's just me. You can interpret that how you want to. It's not like, you know, don't listen to this and resonate with this and then throw away your microwave. I'm not saying all that. I'm just saying that when, you know, if it's like the Jetsons and the robot is putting clothes on and brushing your teeth and combing your hair and putting you in your car and driving your car to work and doing the work for you and cashing your check and spending that check on things that you need, you know, like at what point do you stop like living? At what point do you just let a program live for you? At what point do you lose your humanity, basically? And I think it's very interesting that humanity is tied to the toiling of caring for yourself. You know, like when it comes to like getting food, water, shelter, finding family, friends, loved ones. It's all a little bit like, kind of like the point is to work, which is like just an interesting thing. And I think like the idea of work being like a human curse is also like, that's a mindset, you know, that's very much a choice, you know, to think that um having to, like, if you think I have to go find food, I have to find clean water, I have to build a house, you're putting yourself in this restriction that life is difficult to do. But if you say like, oh, I get to go find food now, I can't wait to see what I find today, or you get to find fresh water, and like, and you're like, wow, I can't wait to find a really good source of water, or like, I can't wait to build my house, like, I want it to look like this and be like this and blah blah blah. You know, when you start taking the joy out of the work, that's when it becomes work. When you put the joy into your work, that becomes living, you know. And I think it's really funny that, well, I think it's really funny that we as society have taken that and applied it to a systematic type of living, like a career or something like that, where you find your dream career, so that you can feel like you're living. But a lot of that is just, I think that's also a thing too. Like, if you're always looking for your, like, if you think of the world provides you everything you could ever want, all you have to do is go out there and get it. That's a little bit more uplifting than searching for that one path out of many that is going to satisfy all your aspects in life. It's kind of like, you know, I guess it's kind of like the same thing, but maybe just for me, that path is, or, you know, yeah, maybe just for me. Maybe you resonate with you. Maybe you don't. Maybe I'll change my mind tomorrow. I don't know. But that, like, I feel like it's probably a little bit more. It probably would be a little bit more comforting to think that the world is taking care of you than to think that you have to fight it off. I'm gonna say that. On the side of our character that has a lot of potential, or yeah, a lot of potential so far. I'm thinking that they're an inventor type, but we have the Nine of Cups above the moon. Um, this is also, it's giving me a little bit of that, what I was just talking about, like, how do I get to a level of contentment? How do I get to a level of like pleasantry, luxury, comfort? I would say luxury if there was, well, there's a lot of pentacles that we just talked about, but how do I find contentment, or why does it seem so hard to find contentment? Like, maybe this is what this character is talking about, and maybe they're doing it in the idea of like, you have to invent conveniences in order to enjoy life. I think honestly, inventing conveniences only allows you to think more about life, and which is nice, but I think it's really like, well, convenience is just frees up your time. And if you want to free up your time, but you don't know what to do with that time, then you're just begging to be bored. Every convenience that you get is just going to lead you to more and more boredom. Unless you know exactly what to do with that convenience, and then it's a little bit, or if you know exactly what to do with your time, then it's more of alignment, and then how you value your conveniences, or you organize your convenience or judge your convenience, would be more to your discernment. On the other side of our main character, we have the Adolescent of Wands and the Ten of Cups. So this is, what is this? This is This is giving me a little bit like maybe this character has been told like, what more could you want? We live in a paradise, and then this character is like, but I know there's more out there, kind of thing. Which is interesting. I feel a little bit of like this movie is a little bit in contrast to me. Or maybe like just another part of me that I haven't given a lot of recognition to. Um, but yeah, this seems I feel like our main character would say, but haven't you ever wished for more? And this could go in so many different ways too. Like this could be someone who's like laboring a little bit, like maybe in the modern world, and they're looking for like take it how it resonates, um, or how you want to see the movie. If you want to see our main character coming up from a more naturalistic lifestyle and wanting more of a technologically advanced future, you could do like that. Or you could also see this our main character in a technologically advanced situation and wanting something a little bit more natural, authentic, simple, very like a simpler life maybe. On the far end, where this person is like, why does it seem like contentment is so hard to come about, or how to come up, a come ups, an up and coming, come uppance, right? Same thing. Anyway, on that side we have the Seven of Cups, the Eight of Wands, and the World. So this is someone who is like maybe sifting through the confusion, sifting with this card, the confusion, this one, for wholeness. I'm going to say this is wholeness, striving for wholeness. The World card. The World card has been showing up a lot lately, um, which is a very, very good omen. Um, yeah, sifting through the confusion, especially with the Moon card, like the Moon and the Seven of Cups, both invoke the energy of like confusion, uh, uh, instability. Um, yeah, could be a little bit like neuroticism if this was a character. But it does seem like this is like an energy that our character is um, rummaging through, if you will. On the side where it's like it seems like our main character is being told that life is what it's supposed to be, but our main character wants more. We have these three cards. We have the Justice, the Magician, and the Child of Swords. So this is someone who is like, I guess, like speaking their truth, which I think is an interesting thing. And I think that does make a lot of sense when we talk about like if beauty or well, hmm, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but is truth? Is freedom in the eye of the beholder? I guess it's all very true. Your perspective is your own perspective. I mean, you can gather as many people who agree with your perspective as you want, but it is still yours. Doesn't mean anyone has to absorb it. Doesn't mean anyone has to credit it, and then no one has to accept it. Like we could be like, gravity exists, but I'm sure there's plenty of people who are like, nah, it doesn't. Just so casually, like, nah, it doesn't. Or water is wet, and then people are like, actually, no, it's a little dry to me, in my opinion. I think there's plenty of people who are like that. So when I say this person is speaking their truth, like their truth, I feel like this is very interesting. This is very interesting because yeah, just because this character wants more doesn't mean that they have to convince other people to want more as well. This might be a lesson that this character is learning or will learn. I'll pull some clarification cards, but this is someone who like I guess when I'm talking about like like on the other side when they're sifting through the confusion, it's a little bit like they're sifting through the confusion. I'm like, okay, this is what I found. All right, in this confusion, this is what I found. Like this is what seems to be happening. It's like this is someone who's talking about their hypotheses or like their experiments. Like this is very much like again like this is a little bit of inventor ish kind of energy. It's giving me like yeah, it's giving me like what would be a good example? A little bit like Frankenweenie. Like have you seen Frankenweenie? I think that's actually really I think I like the original one, the like the unreleased one, the official one. Is really cute, really sentimental. Love that he went through all this work to you know be reunited with their dog. I think I don't have any pets, but and I have a bit of a if I can't provide my pet the most like natural and comforting environment for them, like I love rabbits, right? I don't want my rabbit to be stuck in a cage in the house all the time. If I did get rabbit, if I did get a rabbit, I would want multiple rabbits and I would want them to be like in a hut with plenty of space to go in and out. Like I just, I want them to be like happy, like well exercised, well fed, natural, like they can see the sky, feel the sun on their fur or their skin, I guess. Or I want them to be able to look up at the moon if they want to, I want a level of autonomy for my pet. If I keep a pet, and it's more like I'm just kind of keeping them. I'm more of a protector than I am an owner, at least in that prospect. I was thinking about caring for wild rabbits, like providing them food and things like that, and protecting them from their natural predators like foxes and coyotes and things like that. And when they start having, their babies, marking where their nests are so that I don't step on them, or if I had any like visitors or anything like that, they know where not to step into, or like if I see like an animal approaching one of my flags, I can shoo them off and be like, leave those bunnies alone, kind of thing. And I think that would be really nice because I'm not owning them, but I still get to like provide a care for something that I do like a lot. I do like rabbits a lot. Um, and I think it would be nice that they wouldn't be dependent on me to survive. They would just benefit from me existing. Kind of like how I feel like I benefit from rabbits existing. They bring so much delight to me that I think that would be really nice to just give naturally to, like offerings to them. Like, really, like, thank you for being here. I really like, that way you don't have to worry about vets and, you know, vaccinations and neutering and, kind of throwing them into like the trauma of being in a very human or man-made environment, because it it's not always as comfortable for me, so I can't imagine how comfortable it would be for the rabbit. And to avoid having to juggle the ethical concern of it, I'd rather just lay out a bunch of Timothy hay for the wild rabbits to find as they find, and eventually they'll come to the same spot, and we'll become friends, and maybe they'll chill with me and stuff, and that would be, that would make me cry. um, I would love that. Just like kind of having like a bird bath and a bird feeder, and you just get to enjoy them being there, and I'm sure they enjoy like having like that supply, especially in wintertime. I was thinking that especially in wintertime that I would want to provide them food, like easy accessible food, so they stay nice and healthy for the spring, and then have a whole bunch of rabbits all over the place. Which, I guess you'll kind of have to like decide when too many rabbits is too many. But then, I mean, rabbits are also like, they're also rather tasty. So, if population gets too crazy, you can do like an ethical population control kind of thing, kind of like what people used to do with deer. I don't know if they still do that, like when deer hunting season's around us, they kind of keep the population low. But and I think that's important because we got rid of all the wolves, their natural predators, so there's nothing actually there to maintain the balance. So because deer will eat anything, they'll eat anything, so they can strip all the foliage and kill a bunch of plants, and then in the springtime we have less plants, which means we have less food for the pollinators, and less food for the pollinators means less pollinators, which means that when it is time for like a bounty, or when it's time to like pollinate, we'll have less food to eat ourselves, and like the balance is all out of whack. So, but I like here in Americas, I would promote a more like deer and rabbit consumption as far as like an ethical food source. I feel like that's a little bit more sustainable than like I definitely do believe in supporting farms, but like a little bit more for the vegetation. Yeah, especially with like beef being such an interesting thing, the mad cow disease. A lot of cultures don't eat beef, don't eat pork for specific reasons. I've heard multiple doctors talk about like there's no reason to eat beef. But at the same time, I think about the chickens and how like, and commercially the chickens are a little bit they're put into poor conditions, which is exactly what I was talking about with the rabbit thing. Like that's exactly what I don't want. I don't want to put a living creature in a cage just to barely be able to move. It's not very comforting to me. But yeah, I think that our grocery system would be a lot different if we ate more animals that existed here, more plants and animals, like more native plants and animals. Like there's this one woman who does is it a snack or poison or something like that? So she goes around and shows you all like the native things in her area that you can eat as far as plant goes, and I think that's really I think that's really good for promoting I think it's really good for promoting the natural plant life. So because I think that because a lot of people think that plants are more of an object than a living creature, I think that a lot of people will rip up plants like weeds and other natural things that they don't think is pretty just because it didn't come from across the world. I think that I think that the more we promote native or like indigenous habits, the better our ecosystem will be. Um, yeah, and I think that we should promote that a little bit more into animal consumption, um, especially since, well, me, I think it's just fair. All right, I think it's just fair. I think it's just fair that if we're going to eat one living creature, that we eat other living creatures too. Like, I mean, I just think that it's fair, and I think that it's more important that whether or not it's indigenous than whether or not you're than the type of animal it is. I think that, yeah, when it comes to like fishing and things like that, I think it's like really important to eat like seafood, like like there's plenty of seafood that's natural to or native to your environment. So instead of like ordering, I don't know, Canadian lobster, which is delicious. I'm not saying nothing bad about it, but I think that crawfish, come on, come on, excellent source of food. Um, Also, I think that eating more bugs would be more beneficial too, especially when it comes to invasive bugs. I know like you can eat Japanese beetles, and you know what's a fun thing about that is there's a little technique that you can do is that geraniums. Japanese beetles are attracted to geraniums, and when they eat too many geraniums, they get a little bit they get paralyzed, like kind of like an itis thing. They get so full they can't move, and so that's an excellent source. And the Japanese beetles are an invasive species, so it helps with the population to consume them. It helps. It definitely protects the plants that the Japanese beetles would normally eat, and it gives you a source of food that's easily available as long as you have a geranium plant around. I definitely think that people learning about foraging for mushrooms and stuff like that is a very important skill to know that isn't readily, like, that knowledge isn't readily available. I know a lot of people are trying to provide that information, like the woman I was talking about, like, is it a snack or not? I think it is. Or, you know, I don't know how she phrased it, but um, yeah, and I think that will help a little bit. I think definitely the mushroom gathering thing will help a lot on the consumption of animals. Because it's a good source of like proteins and vitamins. Because honestly, fungi is a little bit like it's not a plant, it's not an animal. It's its own thing. Its own organism. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that I'm not into a living creature hierarchy kind of thing. Like I think the yeah, I think that all life is precious, and yeah, I think that all life is precious. But you can't avoid not consuming it, I think. I mean, I know. Like, you have to eat life. Life sustains you. And I think it's kind of interesting too because like people are a little bit like vampiric in a sense, like or living creatures are a little bit vampiric in a sense because actually all living things are a bit vampiric. Just even like plants because they have to absorb this energy from a different source. They have to like um, I think like the move the Giga Drain in Pokemon is a grass move, so a lot of like plant inspired Pokemon learn that move, and in different languages it's called some type of vampirism. yeah, like it's a word for vampire, to like to suck life from. And I think that's really interesting. I guess the only thing that doesn't, well, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that scavengers are consuming life? Life like, well, yeah, I think that, well, is it, that's very interesting to think about. If you only eat food that's already dead and you didn't have to kill it yourself, are you a carnivore or are you a scavenger? Something to think about, especially with people, and like especially people in the modern age. If you get all your food from the grocery store, it's already like dead. You didn't have to gather it. You didn't have to like, yeah, you didn't have to gather it. You didn't have to hunt it or trap it. So is that scavenging? It's interesting, especially when you think about the food products. Confirmation burp. Which reminds me of that video, the CEO of McDonald's eating the burger and calling it a product. Is that just scavenging? Are we just eating found dead life? I don't know. Riddle me that, Batman. Very interesting to think about. I also wonder. I wanted to look up the reason why like vultures and things could eat dead things without getting sick. Yeah, I think it has to do with the amount of acid or the bacterial biome or something like that. I do wonder if humans could have that same thing, and I think that would alleviate a lot of that ethical dissidence. Yeah, ethical dissidence of being a cognitive thing, like a hyper cognitive thing, and knowing that you have to eat life in order to exist. If we could rectify that, then I think that a lot of people they wouldn't have that back and forth. Yeah. I also looked up if you could only eat. I think honey. Well, it's an animal product, so, but it doesn't. I don't. It's inconvenient, I'm sure, to take the honey from the bees and they have to start making honey again all over. But it doesn't seem to hurt them, kill them. I don't know where the line between inconvenienced and hurt is. But also, I was learning about fruit. I think that if you eat fruit but you don't consume the seed, then you are not harming life per se, even though I do think the apple at one point was alive because it grew and progressed. And if you do eat the fruit and you don't eat the seed, but you don't plant the seed, are you then like killing that baby plant because it's no longer able to, like, it has no, it's like kind of like the plant equivalent of an abortion, which is interesting. Like every seed that you don't plant and just kind of let go to the wayside, and like with you knowing that that's a living thing and that if you plant it, it would grow. Like, is that unethical? Bless you. Is it? And but I was looking up to see if you could, in milk, like milk and dairy products, can you just eat that? I know it's an animal product, but and I know it's probably inconvenient for the animal to have that product taken from them, but is it hurting them? It might be. Is there a way to do it without hurting them? I'm sure. The baby does it. But I did look to see if you could live off milk, honey, and fruit, and you can't. Not for a long time. You do have to eat. Vegetables have the fiber that you actually need, and some other, like, lots of vitamins. So does meat and other, like. I mean, is the mushroom that you see out of the ground just the fruit of the fungi? Does it hurt the fungi to pluck that, to eat that? Is the point of it to be eaten? I don't think I don't think so. I don't think because like fruit is intentionally, like the plant makes fruit intentionally for you to eat so that you could eat it and then, let it go through your body and then, be naturally fertilized for wherever you drop it in the natural world. Like it gives animals the fruit so that it can spread the seed so that it has a chance to live. Um, what was I saying about that? But yeah, I wonder. I don't think that works the same thing with mushrooms. I don't think something has to. I don't think it's beneficial to eat the mushroom so that the mushroom continues on with its life cycle. Um, but solely relying on fruit would cause some vitamin deficiency, definitely a fiber deficiency. Also, the excess sugars wouldn't be that good. Um, but if you are a person who has committed themselves to only eating fruit for ethical reasons or not, please leave in the comment below how that experience is going. How do you feel? You know? How do you feel? But anyway, back to the confirmations. We have Temperance and the Seven of Swords for clarification on our entrepreneur New York. Maybe this person wants to go to New York. I don't know. But these two cards represent our inventor-esque character. Temperance seems like a really good one to describe this as someone who's like the pros and cons. Is very alchemist, very much betterment. Like, and also with the Seven of Swords here, right? Seven, yeah, Seven of Swords in that struggle. Are they both struggle? That's 4, 10, 5. No, this is conflict and struggle. This is getting someone who's like maybe like smarter. Definitely alchemist. It's definitely giving alchemist energy. It's definitely like more progressively, like a more progressive thought process, I suppose. Which can be good or bad. Like I was saying before, conveniences can be a slippery slope. So just because you can think of all the ways to ease everyone's life doesn't mean that that's a good thing. But it does seem like our character is very smart. Seems like our character is very smart. On the side of like sifting through the confusion, why is it hard to find contentment? We have the Ten of Swords over the Five of Cups, which is a little bit like, it's kind of giving me a little bit like to insist on the progression of the world can be a little bit of a dead end, which is something to think about as far as the moral goes. Yeah, and I feel like this can go both ways when it comes to someone who's like everything should be simpler and we should go back to like living in villages and stuff like that. Trying to make everyone do that kind of just makes you just as bad as like a system that says everyone has to have like an iPhone and a 9-to-5 corporate job. It's kind of giving a little bit like there cannot be an absolute. I do think that life would be a little bit better if we had the options a little bit more. Like I guess I know that there are like communes and stuff like that, but like maybe in the more like if it was respected, I feel like maybe, you know what, I'm thinking that maybe everyone should have a little bit of respect for everyone's perspective is what I'm thinking. Yeah, it's giving like it's not an all or nothing type of thing. I think that what it's kind of like it's like any movement, like the civil rights movement, the women's suffrage movement, equal rights, all that stuff. Is giving like it's kind of like fighting for a space. Like it really is like when we come into what is considered normality or expectations on society, it can be really limiting when you feel like everyone has to be like kind of cookie cutter. And I think like these movements like Black Lives Matter and things like that are going to be a is more of a like, okay, well, we need a little bit more room here, like you're taking up too much room, or like the like we need more safe spaces kind of thing. I feel like it is. So I feel like maybe the promotion of more safe spaces is probably the goal, and not having like the whole world work in one way, which is definitely something for me to consider because I am a little bit of like, we're all doing it wrong. I am a little bit like that. And I think maybe my ambitions should be focused on promoting more safe spaces for environments that I would find supportive. So I think like a really good thing for me to do would be to like invest in preserving like freshwater sources, like or a freshwater source, and be kind of like like I'm reading the book The Last Unicorn, and she talks a lot about her forest and how she cares for it and stuff like that, and she's kind of like the protector. And I think that mindset would actually go pretty far if you picked one thing to protect, like kind of like I was talking about the rabbits or whatever. But if you picked one thing to protect, like a fresh water source, and you just lived there and you did everything you could to just maintain your home, basically. I think that would be nice. And I think that some people who choose to do like, you could apply this to anything. Any technological advance, or like maybe like what I would consider a capitalist kind of focus. I think you could do that, find your one thing and protect it, like how some people will it's like kind of like fan base kind of thing. And I think that would be really good to think about not only how to protect it but to progress it. Like if I was protecting a freshwater source, knowing when to provide a dam for it, um, or when to clear out um, some stagnation. Kind of like knowing when to do both, like knowing when to hold them, when to fold them, kind of thing. Um, Yeah, and so when it comes to like more like man-made things, like knowing how to knowing how to promote it without it being like a detriment to other technological advanced things or capitalist things or whatever I would consider that as, or how they interlock with like if you're into non-natural things, how it interacts with natural things, and how natural things interact with non-natural things. Like if I was protecting a water source, um, it would be kind of like good for me to keep in mind that other places need water too. So knowing how to distribute that, or allow access to that, but also protect it at the same time, like that kind of like balance, that management, I would say management. And I think it would be really cool if people were well, maybe are jobs where you are a manager of a water source, and I think that would be really cool. I think a lot of water sources are based on ownership. Like you can buy a water source, because they did that before in the Midwest somewhere, where someone like, oh, when it was the Flint water thing, there was a water source near there that someone bought so that they could bottle that water and sell it to the people of Flint while they had no fresh water to drink from themselves. So it was very exploitative. So like understanding how to like, you know, I feel like if those areas were protected as like as a free source, I think we could eliminate, we could if we had thought about that before, we could have prevented the Flint water crisis, or at least to a certain degree. So yeah, if any of you are watching this and you know of a way to join like a organization that protects fresh water as a free resource, let me know, because I'm really like into that. On the other side, where we have back to the movie, on the other side where this movie seems like it has a lot of commercials in it, so you should have you should have paid for a subscription, I guess. But on the side where this is someone who's like kind of like speaking their truth and like seeing that there's more out there, we have the tower and the world. So this is something like, I guess it's a little bit of like what I was talking about before, where there has to be a balance. Like you have to like know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to enact your human consciousness on the environment to change it, and know when to let it be. So yeah, I talked a lot, so I think I'm gonna end it here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did not enjoy the video, that is your choice and I totally respect it. I hope that you have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, evening, or night. And if you do not wish to have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, evening, or night, that is totally your choice and I totally respect it. Okay guys, bye.